Please welcome to the stage two incredible people who are going to tell you a story you might not be expecting. Italy legend.
Some players are defined by their victories, others by their legacy.
So I was watching Roberto Baggio, and I keep with him.
But when football's greatest speak about Roberto Baggio, they speak about something more profound. They speak about a man who carried an entire nation on broken knees.
When I saw him looking at the floor, I said, okay, this guy lost.
And became immortal in defeat. The divine ponytail wasn't just the most talented Italian of his era.
Secondo me non è un miraggio perché lo si vede molto bene.
He was an artist in a world of tacticians, a Buddhist in a Catholic country, a rebel who refused to conform, and a genius who showed the world that greatness doesn't require perfection. A player whose penalty miss
this tournament. Oh, it's over the top.
somehow made him more legendary than any trophy ever could.
Versus Baggio.
Baggio, probably the best player ever played in Italy.
Roberto Baggio, the saviour of Italy throughout this tournament. He's missed it!
Fuori non è bello per nessuno.
Io non posso immaginare, cioè, che cosa pensate?
È una grande responsabilità, uno che va a battere un calcio di rigore mondiale non è semplice.
By the age of 9, he was already playing for a local club. By 11, scouts from Italy's biggest teams were watching closely. And once the goals started flying in, there was no ignoring him.
So Baggio wrote a 900-page plan to revitalize and reform Italian football. Clearly, he could see the direction that Italian football, and nothing came of it. Why would that be? Well, about 15 years later, and for the third World Cup qualification cycle in a row, Italy, a national team that has just one fewer World Cups than Brazil, with 4, alongside Germany, will be heading to the qualification playoffs.
Il primo com'è? Bellissimo. È una gioia grandissima.
Riesci a godertelo, sì?
Sì, come no. Come no. È bellissimo, una gioia indescrivibile.
Lo sai che siamo in diretta?
Ah no, lo sapevo. Vabbè, comunque siamo felicissimi.
Decades ago, like an alternate dimension, given their major tournament performances, or lack thereof, since, right? So, why is this? Why the Italian national team is having issues right now is what we're focusing on, because there does seem to be some hope for the future, despite the current picture.
Di Michel, c'è un numero 10 nuovo nella Juventus, questo Juventus del 90. Che cosa manca a Baggio per diventare grande come Michel?
Ma lasciamolo fare la sua strada e dopo giudicherete fra 5 o 6 anni.
Back to Galeano, who said, Roberto Baggio's style is a mystery. The legs have minds of their own. His foot shoots on its own. His eyes visualize the goal before everything combines. It was a one-man campaign to bring the elegance and pleasure back to football. Be one of the most complicated spells of his career. Juve weren't winning a lot, and the World Cup was an agonizing mixture of emotions. He single-handedly dragged Italy to the final with moments of sheer brilliance.
When people talk about Roberto Baggio, they usually reduce him to one moment, one image, one kick. But that snapshot doesn't explain why defenders feared him, why teammates leaned on him, or why entire teams were shaped around his imagination. Baggio played in an era that didn't protect artists, and his body often betrayed his genius.
Sandro Del Piero has dominated Italy's thinking in the lead-up to today's game. Andrew Orsatti reports on Italy's selection dilemma.
Beh, io sapevo che poteva finire così, no? Però è una situazione che accetto, che non mi crea problemi. A volte saltavo persino il pasto di mezzogiorno perché non volevo perdere tempo, volevo continuare a giocare. Ma niente, cerco di concentrarmi al massimo sul pallone, cercando appunto di...
Notorious for starting World Cup slowly, the Italians usually have plenty in reserve, at least the coach hopes so.
They're a nice football, but it's better to avoid this field.
Andrew Orsatti in Paris for France 98.
Ma sai, il calcio ha anche questi risvolti, credo che non ci si debba stupire di questo, no? Comunque sono tanti gol, però credo che sia stato dividere con la gioia del punto che la mia squadra ha raggiunto oggi. Maradona credo che non ha bisogno di grandi presentazioni, insomma. Io credo che...
Baggio's conversion to Buddhism aside, probably the biggest shock about him is the fact that he's a long-time fan of that classic American ensemble, the Eagles.
Italiani forse del mondo, forse del mondo, ha rimasto la modestia, la volontà.
Lo stesso spirito, però non è cambiato assolutamente niente.
The fifth of 8 children, Baggio's been kicking balls since 3 for a living since the age of 15. He thought he'd ended his career with a massive knee injury in 18, but instead he returned to make his debut in Serie A.
Baggio continued scoring goals in quantity and of quality, but little changed. However, the man himself developed.
Questo fino alle ore 20:30 di oggi. Adesso?
From the rossoneri shirts and stitching it onto the black and white kit.
Comunque sei sorridente, il ginocchio va bene.
Aggiornato.
Il ginocchio va bene.
Sì, bene, grazie.
Now, let's look at youth quickly, as it has been talked about beyond belief when it comes to, Italian clubs not putting enough focus on their youth academies over the past 20 years or so, with only a recent focus.
Io so cosa ho fatto per arrivare dove sono arrivato, i sacrifici che ho fatto, perché io a 18 anni non dovevo più giocare a calcio, no?
Roberto Baggio. Age shall not wither him, nor custom stale his infinite variety, even if he is looking a bit these days like an extra from Tenka. Yes, Ken, it's once more onto the Baggio for an update on perhaps the most important footballer of the 90s. Once the symbol of the Italian game, now as he approaches 31 years of age.
The well-deserved world champion player.
But with the World Cup just months away, Baggio started to struggle with injuries, which struck fear into the hearts of the Italians.
Ma Roberto l'ho sempre stimato come calciatore, credo che sia stato uno dei migliori giocatori italiani.
Roberto Baggio is one of my favorite footballers because he was a legend in every possible way.
Baggio non è pronto ancora, lui deve maturare ancora.
Diciamo con i miei risultati e facendo gol poi mi sono conquistato la...
Un importante quello di oggi per Roberto Baggio, appunto al suo esordio in Serie A. Ecco, che cosa hai provato?
Ma sono contento perché la Fiorentina...
I felt like it could be the last time I would be able to do so.
Ho avuto la fortuna comunque di stare insieme a dei ragazzi veramente...
Fantasia è un piacere, la voglia di fare una cosa particolare.
Siamo sempre riusciti veramente alla grande.
L'azione vuole il lancio su Toni che può fermare e dare a Baggio. Baggio contro Pierini per Toni posizione regolare.
While attempting a slide tackle, Baggio ruptured the ACL and meniscus in his right knee.
Ecco, quello che io cerco dagli altri è che si comportano come sono io. Avere lo stesso rispetto, confrontarsi e...
Baggio was distraught. His career was about to end before it had even started, and just before his big break.
He survived career-ending injury. He pretty much incited a riot. He betrayed others and was betrayed himself. He was misunderstood and admired at the same time.
Roberto Baggio penso che sia la persona più umile che abbia conosciuto. È stato il primo campione proprio con la C maiuscola che io...
sono stati 4 anni importanti perché comunque...
Ma ero anche convincente perché chi mi spiegava la tattica faceva anche finta di essere attento, però non sono mai riuscito al 100%.
What was it like playing with Baggio? How good was he?
Non ho pensato nulla, ho detto devo calciare a volo e basta, distinto.
Baggio would go on to tell this story in his own words, saying, his new club he would go through his most confusing time. On paper, his season was impressive. He finished as the top assist maker in the league and became one of the few players to win consecutive Serie A titles with 2 different clubs. But in reality,
Vargas è un grandissimo giocatore che aveva dimostrato in Italia che ci sono società come la Juve, l'Inter che non stanno seguendo, vuol dire che sono una persona che lo merita.
Well, refreshingly earnest stuff there from Roberto Baggio. He's always been, over the years, one of Serie A's most independent thinkers, and few surely won't want to wish him luck now with his mission not to spectate at World Cup '98. With 2 Italy friendlies to come before the finals, here's hoping.